Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. Happy to have Madeline Martinez of Oregon NORML and National NORML's Board of Directors here. Welcome back to the show, Madeline. It's been years.
It's great to be back.
It's good to be back. You've been on many, many times over the years, and it's good to have you back. You got some important things to talk about with legislation in the state capitol and
Yes.
Senate Bill 639.
Right.
We'll be getting to that a little bit later. We have some news, we have some videos, and we'll be taking your telephone call questions if you've got any. So stay tuned as we bring on our infamous dancing cannabis leaves.
I feel the force.
First story tonight's from Washington, D.C. More than 1/4 of the United States House of Representative members have signed on to newly introduced legislation to facilitate greater access to banking for state licensed cannabis operators. The 2019 version of the Secure and Fair Enforcement, or SAFE, Banking Act was introduced last Thursday and now has 113 co-sponsors, the most ever for a marijuana law reform bill in the United States Congress. Under federal law, banks and other financial institutions are discouraged from dealing with medical and recreational marijuana businesses. This has led to the industry operating on a largely cash-only basis. Last month, members of the U.S. House Consumer Protection and Financial Institutions Subcommittee heard testimony in favor of the federal banking reform. In short, no industry can operate safely, transparently, or effectively without access to banks or other financial institutions, and it is self-evident that these industries and these consumers are served by it will remain severely hampered without better access to credit and financing. Ultimately, Congress must amend federal policies so that these growing number of state-compliant businesses and the millions of Americans who patronize them are no longer subject to policies that needlessly place them in harm's way. The SAFE Banking Act is one of several marijuana-related bills introduced in the United States Congress in recent days. Other legislation includes the Ending Marijuana Prohibition Act of 2019 and the Marijuana Justice Act, the Next Step Act, and the Marijuana Data Collection Act of 2019. Our own Earl Blumenauer has sponsored House Resolution 420 to legalize marijuana, and our Senator Ron Wyden has sponsored Senate Bill 420 to specify regulations and taxing. Next story is from Boise. At the state level, activists in Idaho have begun efforts to qualify a medical cannabis and hemp ballot initiative for the 2020 ballot. Back to the House of Representatives, Representative Earl Blumenauer, a founder and co-chair of the Congressional Cannabis Caucus, has reintroduced legislation that it's H.R. 1647, the Veterans Equal Access Act, which expands medical cannabis access to eligible military veterans. Presently, VA doctors are forbidden from providing the paperwork necessary to complete a recommendation, thus forcing military veterans to seek the advice of private out-of-network physicians. Passage of this bill would lift this prohibition. At the time of the introduction, Representative Blumenauer said, quote, "For too long, our veterans have been denied access to highly effective medical marijuana treatment for conditions like chronic pain and post-traumatic stress. Medical marijuana has shown proven benefits for those treating these conditions." We're having a little technical difficulty there. This simple bill would align veterans' VA treatment with their popular state laws usually approved by the voters. This legislation would guarantee our veterans fair and equal treatment, along with the ability to consult with their physicians on all treatment options. It's past time to provide them with the care they deserve, end quote, Representative Blumenauer said. In the 114th Congress, majorities in both the U.S. House and Senate voted to include similar language as part of the fiscal year 2017 Military Construction, Veterans Affairs, and related agencies appropriations bills. However, Republicans sitting on the House Appropriations Committee elected to remove the language from the bill during a concurrence vote. The head of that committee, Sessions, Representative Sessions from Texas, lost re-election this past year. In Republican Governor Kinstitt signed legislation yesterday, HB 2612, clarifying patient protections and specific to medical cannabis use in Oklahoma. Voters approved a statewide initiative last June authorizing the plant's use, cultivation, and dispensing. The new legislation codifies a new regulatory bureau, the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority, within the State Department of Health. It establishes a registry for qualified patients and their caregivers and establishes a revolving fund to address oversight matters. It strengthens patient protections by explicitly stipulating that registered cannabis consumers may not be denied public assistance, access to firearms, or employment solely based on their patient status. It further states, quote, no employer may refuse to hire, discipline, discharge, or otherwise penalize an applicant or employee solely on the basis of a positive test for marijuana components or metabolites. The bill seeks to facilitate standards for banks who wish to partner with the medical cannabis businesses and prohibits local governments enacting guidelines which restrict medical marijuana. That's the end of our hemp news segment for tonight. And now we have a little video. This is our friend Madeline, my friend Quilt Man, and his son Tiwani doing a little benefit for the late great John Trudell, just shortly after he passed away. We'll be back right after this video. All right, that was Quilt Man and Tiwani doing a little benefit for John Trudell back when he passed away about 3 years ago, right here on this show. Welcome back. It was. He knew it was coming for some time beforehand. But he was a very influential man.
He was
in both the entertainment industry and in Native American activism.
We just watched a movie that he was in. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to remember the name of it, but he was
Thunderheart. That's one of them.
Well, that's one of them. Yeah, no, that's a great one as well. But this was with Coyote and Spider.
Oh yeah,
and I can't think of the name of it.
I can't remember the name of that either. But yeah, he played Coyote and went around with Spider as a kind of supernatural character that showed up.
Very amazing.
It was one of his best ones. A lot of his poems he called Coyote Musings, as he posted them out on the internet.
And he does a great job.
Coyote Logics.
Right. Very, very. very entertaining. We just laughed and laughed.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that a few years back. Well, we are live here on Friday, the 15th of March, 2019. If you have any questions or comments for us tonight, you can call us at that number there on your screen. It's 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442. So, Madeline, you haven't been on in a few years. Why don't you remind our audience what you do, and you're working on passing Senate Bill 639.
Yes.
You've done so many things over the years, it's hard to condense it into...
It really is. I did my resume once, and it was probably about 4 pages. And I look back at it, and it seems surreal. Did I really do all that stuff? Or were we really marching down the street for 14 years? You know, all the interesting things, the Oregon Medical Cannabis Awards, the first, you know, medical challenge of its kind in Oregon, anyway, that I know of. And it was just been very exciting in opening up the world-famous Cannabis Cafe in 2000.
What year did you do that?
2009.
2009.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we went to two.
So 10 years ago now.
Yeah, 10 years ago now. But it's really hard, Paul, to go down to the legislature again and go fight for what we already have. Which, you know, we opened the cafe. It was iconic to Oregon and to the United States because it was the first of its kind in the United States.
You got a lot of international press when that opened back in 2009, coverage in all around the world.
All around the world. It was amazing. We had people there from Switzerland, the UK. I even got a call from, what is it called? The Iranian newscast, Al Jazeera. They called me and I said, you guys need to go work on those tanks and stuff. Don't get involved in cannabis. Because, I mean, look at Manafort. If he would have had cannabis on him, he probably would have done 75 years or 20, you know. But
well,
just
that's
because
you're talking about Manafort. He was just sentenced to less than 4 years in one court and another 3 years in another court. So altogether he has like 7 years.
7 years, 7.5.
Now, I was facing for growing marijuana in a court here in Portland, in federal court, back in 1993. If I'd been found guilty, I would have gotten a 10-year mandatory minimum sentence myself. Fortunately, the jury found me not guilty in a jury nullification case. We didn't present any evidence, but that's just one.
And luckily, you're white. Because you know, the disparity in sentencing is outrageous. I was just reading about it, you know, on my little Facebook, where a black gentleman got
8 years in Alabama, and another guy got 12 years in Alabama just this week.
For the same charges. The same financial charges as Manafort. But they weren't afforded, you know, the same type of lawyer or defense that he portrayed. And then they just always let, and sorry to say, white privilege, but it happens every day. And that's one of the things that has always been one of my pet peeves. You know, I'm from East Los Angeles, and you get treated differently over there because most people are Mexicans. The only ones that I've ever felt threatened by were our LAPD. You know, I was walking down the street. I was 17. They said, "Come here and get in the back seat."
Why would you do that?
I'm like, well, I didn't. I don't know what triggered it, but I ran into the little store, the little neighborhood store there. I just ran in. I just stayed in the back. But, I mean, it's really scary. I mean, it's scary enough being a girl, being a woman, because all these things that can happen to us, we are kind of looked at as, you know, just a body, not really a person. And then to actually be judged by the color of your skin is really annoying. But even though, I mean, I'm proud of who I am and what I am, 48% Native and 40% Iberian. Interesting combination, right? But I like to go out there and represent us. I actually used my diversity in reverse when I first came here and started working on medical marijuana. I don't know if you remember, but I would go to town hall meetings and I'd pull my hair back in a braid and I'd wear a big poncho, all crocheted right here, and I would sit there and, you know, they would look at me because I was the only diverse one in the row, and I'd raise my hand and I'd always get called upon to ask a question, which really served me well. It was like reverse racism, you know. And now it's picked up so much. Diversity is the big deal. I've been diverse since I was born, so I just haven't really played on it as much as I should have.
European refugees all around the world have this vile, murderous legacy of squashing and,
taking everybody
repressing, non-European people based on, here in America, we called it manifest destiny to kill all the people who are here and anyone who we didn't like. And it's still going on today across South America with Zionism in the Middle East. It's European refugees that think they should displace and disinherit the indigenous populations. And it's just wrong. I think all people deserve equal rights and justice. So.
Well, yes, I know you do, Paul, because I've known you so long. I know that about you. Yeah. But it's unfortunate under this current administration that we have to deal with those issues again, and it's so rampant everywhere.
Yeah, just the events of today. Yes. Just the events of today down in New Zealand were horrific. Just horrific.
Yeah, that's my newest thing. Racism, Republicans, and climate change, I think are our biggest national security threats.
And on the other hand, one good thing that happened today is the children across the world came out to protest against climate change and in favor of environmental restoration.
That's right.
So it's it all started with a young 12-year-old in Sweden.
Who's winning the Nobel Peace
Is she winning it? I know she's been nominated.
Yes, I'm pretty sure she's got it. I read that she had it. But she's Greta.
Yeah, Greta Thunberg.
Yes, Greta. Wow. I'm sure her parents are so proud of her.
But they didn't want her to start that protest and skip school every Friday for that. But now it's happening all over the world.
But it's okay. Good for you, Greta.
Yeah.
And all you other Gretas out there,
I liked what she said to the bankers and the world's elite at Davos, Switzerland a couple of months ago. She told them, I don't want your hope. I want you to panic.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to panic about in this world right now.
Well, there really is. I mean, just the oceans alone, it's so frightening out there. It's like people would rather drink water out of bottles than recycle something else that they could reuse and pollute our oceans.
And
like
plastic.
It's no big deal, that plastic.
Hemp plastic could completely replace petroleum plastic just made out of seed oil, and it would be biodegradable. But instead, we have plastic that isn't biodegradable filling the oceans and even in the deepest spot of the ocean, in the Mariana Trench.
I know. I still have my Thai Ma, great hemp. I'm a child of Dr. King and Jack Herer. He showed me the way on hemp, and I truly believe that hemp could save the planet.
Yeah.
If we applied it correctly, if we really made it happen, like it can even sop up oil.
Yeah.
It's just so wondrous. Well, who am I telling? You're like Jack Harris.
You're telling all these people watching here. So
right,
that's a good
thing. Paul is a hemp advocate. I mean, you really are. You have been so ever since I met you. And then I learned from you and Jack, so thank you.
Hey, I'm glad to do it, and I keep pushing along. I'm happy to say I'm still at it. Wild horses couldn't drag me away, and a few of them are still trying.
I understand. Well, I put it on me because I always wanted to represent Jack. Just his book alone, that's where I first saw the art, and I love it. And I just so deeply believe, my good friend Joy Beckerman.
Sure.
She is I call her the hemp goddess. I got her on the board of directors of Normal. So that's pretty exciting. And Courtney Moran, the other queen. They're like bookends.
Yeah, we had them here together the last time they were here, but I know Joy is the head of the, the Hemp Industry Association, as well as being on Normal. HIA.
HIA, there you go. You know better than me. Yes, she is, and she does a hell of a job. I'll tell you what, Normal's doing great. We are out there still working, getting those action alerts out, and making sure people have fact sheets and know what the facts are, because one of the issues that I have currently with 639, or the fact that we can't have cannabis cafes or lounges, is that it doesn't protect the children if people are smoking out in the streets. And I'm defied. I think it defies logic that the good people at the health department that make policies are allowing people, and not because they choose. I mean, people are choosing to do it, but because they're desperate. They have to go outside and smoke in their cars, smoke in the shadows, in the bad weather.
And so many apartments and things, they say, even though you're renting and you're leasing this, you can't use marijuana in your place of residence.
Some people say you can't even carry it. You can't even possess edibles in your apartment.
That's crazy.
It's
How do they
lunacy.
say
How
that?
in the heck can you say that to people? And how are they protecting the children if people are out in the street smoking? If you go down NATO Parkway, it's like a fog.
Oh yeah, yeah. I went through, climbed up Mount Tabor yesterday with my wife, and yeah, we could smell marijuana a few places there in the woods.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And it makes so much more sense to have it in an enclosed building, correct? Where you have to check ID and there's only adults.
So what is the process with Senate Bill 639? You want to tell our viewers first what Oregon's Senate Bill 639 will do?
Well, it'll do a few things. It actually, first of all, legalizes and has cannabis cafes and lounges get licenses from the OLCC. And then we also added a little bit about tours. Like you can tour a grow site. You can
Kind of like a winery.
Yeah, exactly like a winery.
You can go to a winery, tour it, try out some wine, and buy some bottles if you want.
If you want. And you can also tour processing centers, so you can see how the marijuana is turned into oils or all the different processes that go on. And I think that's a plus. It also allows for delivery to hotels, motels, Airbnbs, so people can have that. Or, you know, just to patients who can't even get out. It allows for that. And it also allows, I'm trying to think of the last thing it's allowed. I mean, it's just a wonderful piece of legislation.
So what is it, where is it in the process? It's still alive right now.
Well, it's still alive for a little bit longer, but unfortunately, like I said, the health policy people continue to just oppose it, strongly oppose it, because they feel they're protecting children. And what I'm trying to explain to them, that my vision was to protect children by enclosing adults in like a bar. You know, give them food, put a band up
Obviously, like I said, I saw it several times yesterday going through Mount Tabor Park. If there was a place where those people could go legally consume it, I think that'd be less likely to run in that in a public park.
And it's really heart-wrenching, and I remember Dr. Levesque always used to say, don't smoke out in the rain.
Yeah. Yeah.
It made me laugh then, but now it's heartbreaking because it leaves our patients out in the cold. It leaves our tourists out in the cold. And my question is, what are we teaching our children? You can break the law. You can smoke up and down
That
the street.
alcohol's safer than marijuana is one of the things, which is wrong, as we know.
Well,
it's
it
definitely
is,
wrong.
of course.
I'd say half the people in prison are probably there for things they don't remember they did on alcohol.
Right.
But very few people are in prison for anything they did on marijuana unless they sold it.
Exactly, Paul, and these are the issues that I have, and it's so sad to see the good people, because I think they are good people and they're trying, but they're misguided. The health policy folks, because they don't realize and they're not seeing what we see or that what we notice, because we're so attuned to cannabis and we can smell it wherever we go. I know sometimes I'm in, you know, Bi-Mart and I'm like, who has that?
Yeah.
It's usually my husband, but it happens so frequently in Portland now. And I do love the fact that we're able to use, but where? Recently I heard about a gentleman who came here to visit, one of our tourists, and he purchased some cannabis at a dispensary, like the law says he can, and he ended up flying out with it. Where does he use it? He can't use it at his hotel. And he ended up, of course, getting probably, I believe I heard 9 years, but don't hold me to it for that.
Yeah, I heard about a musician from here in Portland with a medical marijuana permit that was just possession of marijuana, and he got 8 years down in Alabama just for that.
It's
so
just
it's still
frightening.
happening. There's over 100 people in jail who only sold marijuana, never had weapons, that are in there for life without the possibility of parole still today.
And
so legalization hasn't helped them yet.
No, it hasn't helped them, and it hasn't helped a lot of people here as far as the industry goes, because the industry's, you know, struggling as well with excess marijuana, 6.5 years worth of marijuana. Why aren't we giving that to the patients who need it? You know, and I understand everything's got to be taken care of, money this and money that, but why aren't they allowed to donate a certain portion of their stored stock? You know what I mean? I think it's a real tragedy.
Overregulated. That's what we have now, especially here in Oregon, and even worse in Washington, is an overregulated market.
Right. And then there was another bill, 2233, that was going around. There's You know, ours is Senate Bill 639, and then there's HB 2233, which is called the initiative. And that one, you can go in, you can pay your entry fee, but then when you get ready to consume, you go outside. They ask you to go outside, they take you outside. And I kind of look at that one kind of like a bait and switch. What do you think? Yeah, come on in, hurry up, we'll have a good time. Oh, you want to consume? Let's go outside. I just don't feel that that's right. And again, we're exposing our children to it. They say that, you know, whatever we vent out, the kids could smell it.
You can clean that with a filter if you want.
But the kids are not only smelling it at this point, they're seeing it at this point. You know, and as far as tourists go, what type of an impression are we making on our tourist population by allowing them to purchase and then go get busted at home? Oh, but I want to remind you, Paul, I hope you don't mind me interrupting real quick because I don't want to forget, that we're having Lobby Day. Oregon Normal's Lobby Day is on Tuesday, the 19th.
So just this coming Tuesday.
Yeah, this coming Tuesday, and we will be there. You know, the legislature opens at like 8 in the morning. There's hearings early, but we'll be there early, and we'll have a few treats on the table and some interesting fact sheets that Normal has provided for us to share. And we have appointments. Oh, I got to get a glass of water. I have appointments with different legislators. So if you guys want to come out there and help us go meet and greet with the legislators, and let them know how you feel about these bills. Is it important enough to you to have a place to go and consume? And what about patients? Where do they go if they can't smoke in their apartment?
So when will you be arriving at the Capitol on Tuesday?
I think I'm going to be there at 8.
8 a.m. So you'll be starting very early. But people can hook up with you in the Galleria, which is right next to the hearing rooms, right in the middle of the Capitol, between the House and the Senate.
Yes, and we'll have not only information, but we'll have little treats for you. So come on by and visit us and hook up with your legislator. Make a phone call and set up an appointment for the 19th. They still may have an appointment. It only takes 5 minutes. And you go
and you can talk to somebody in their office anyway.
Yeah, you might not talk to them, but you'll talk to their aide, and their aide has their ear. So it's just as important to hook up with them.
We're going to take a little break right now. We have a video from our friend Jorge Cervantes, who today is in Barcelona at Cannabis, and here's a video from last year.
And this is my buddy Simon from Serious Seeds. We've known each other for a while. A long time, you know. So we go back a long time. But anyway, Serious has been around for years, and, you know, well, tell us a little bit about Serious Seeds.
Oh, man. You know how poor my English is.
Yeah, you've got perfect English, and Dutch and German, too. And he likes Spain as well, huh? Un poquito, pues.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, but what can we say? Serious Seeds.
Yeah,
we have a few strains, only really good strains. That's our policy.
No, and that's it. You really take care with your production. I mean, it's pretty amazing, and you've got the highest quality control. I mean, it's really amazing. It's good stuff. And like I say, I mean, you've been here forever. So, you know, that speaks for itself.
Old man. That's what you want to say, right?
Well, look at him. Doesn't he look good? You know, got all his hair, everything.
Yeah, I know.
Well, good.
I know. Yeah. You have a new outdoor strain, man.
Yeah. What do you have?
It's the Series 6, finally.
We
decided to bring it out, yeah. I don't know if it shows on the thing.
Yeah?
Let me see. We decided now to finally bring it out. Hold on.
This is your...
What is it? No, it's like this. Hold on.
So, oh, good.
You'll see. This is in Holland a couple of days ago.
Really?
We cut some already. This is the empty spaces.
And so a couple of days ago, guys, we're what day in the month are we now?
The 15th of October.
15th of October. Look at this.
That's when
15th
they're
of
ready.
October.
These are all ready to take, basically. And we had a really bad summer in Holland. I don't know if you know.
Yeah, no, I don't. But, I've been over in California, but damn,
right, yeah. So
those look great.
This took me 3 years to finally come up with an outdoor plant which is ready in time for the lousy Dutch climate.
Right.
So I'm
right.
really happy for all those people who live under those circumstances that they have something, you know, to grow outdoors.
No, that's incredibly important. Because there's a lot of people that live up north and you know, in Central Europe, all of that.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I was talking to
all the
those
Eastern European countries
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So I'm really happy that it finally.
So these are
came about.
guaranteed right by the October 15th.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Between the 1st and the 15th of October in Holland, which
Holland.
means the 15th of September in Spain. For
Wow,
instance.
wow.
And very mold resistant.
Wow.
You know, I'm really
Mold
happy with that.
resistant.
Yeah.
That's really important.
Yeah, it is.
Mold resistant. There's so many things that were lost to mold.
There's no indica in there because indica gives the susceptibility to mold.
Right,
It's
right,
Only
right.
sativa plants.
Right, that's true. That's true. So true. I've seen it over and over.
Yeah. So it's really
Excellent,
nice.
excellent.
Yeah.
Well, good deal. Well, Simon, this is a big find. See what you find over here at the Austria Cultiva Fair? It's great. Well,
Thanks, Jorge.
Okay, hey,
See you
for
around,
sure.
man.
Okay, thanks so much, Simon. Good time.
All right. You got some water.
Yay,
Just in the nick
thank
of time.
you.
Steve, you got an
Steve.
on-camera shot there. So that's Jorge Cervantes with Simon and Sirius Seeds there in Europe, I do believe. And so you're going to go to the Terpene Cup tomorrow in Southern
tomorrow.
Oregon?
It's so exciting. I've never, I know about the terpenes and, all the different breakdowns of the components that make up cannabis, but I never really, dwelled on it, and I never really learned about it, and it's so amazing and exciting. Pinene and all these names that I can barely announce.
Limonene, myrcene, there's hundreds of them.
Myrcene is amazing, and this one tastes like pine, and this one tastes like fresh forest, and this. I mean, it's just amazing all the different terpenes that you hear about, but I never knew anything about it, and I learned so much. It was a wealth of information, and
So you went to this before?
well, I did one of the other cups, but this is
Okay.
just terpenes.
Oh, okay.
This is the first one, and it's amazing. At least I think it's the first one. It's the first one for me, but I enjoyed it so very much. We had some help with it, of course. That's one of the things I really enjoy about doing all these different cups. And what is it that we call them? Samplings, because for lack of a better term, you get to judge what works most effectively for you, like we did with the
Well, you started the Oregon Medical Cannabis Awards, and it went on for a dozen years or more. How many?
About 14 years.
About
it went
14
on.
years. And when was the last year that was?
That was the last year we had it was at the 82nd Cafe, and I believe it was, I want to say 14. And it was a wonderful event, and
Yeah, it was.
we learned so much from it. It was kind of like the gala of the medical community here in Portland.
It was, and it got national attention that these awards were going on. I remember when I won an award there, I think it was 2008, it was covered in newspapers all over the country.
No, and it was when we first started, Oregon Normal first, became an actual organization of its own, because it used to be PDX Normal.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
we changed it to Oregon Normal.
Remember
And our goal, the board of directors' goal, was to make us part of, Portland society, just to make us another word. And one of our awards that we had at the Ambridge Event Center on MLK, we had the Oregonian there, and the Oregonian came to me and gave me their card, and they said, "Would you please call us when you have the winners? We'd like to put it in the morning paper." And that was our big, like, wow, we made it! It was so exciting, and now to be able to go from a medical marijuana movement to actual industry and legalization.
So you were running Oregon Normal for a few years, and then was it about 2007 or 8 that you got on National Normal's board of directors, and you've been there ever since, right?
Yeah, it was 2009 I got on their board of directors. But yeah, I was working with Oregon Normal since about 2002. And I was the executive director for 9 years. Because we gave ourselves 3-year terms. And so I did my last one, and then I ended up doing the cafe for years, and then but I've always been on Normal since 2009.
We have a video with you and a couple of other folks at the Hempstock Festival when we had it on the East Bank Promenade. I think that was 2008. That's what it says on the video. So we're going to run that video, and we'll be right back.
This battle Martinez.
Stoners, my people! I'm here to tell you! Yeah! Isn't it great to be normal? That's right! Let's hear it! It's great to be normal! Yeah! I want you all to support the Octa, but I'm here today, right at this moment, to introduce someone who's a hero to me. From my lifetime, I mean, it's hard to believe that I'm standing here on the stage with him and that I get to be on the board of directors of National Normal. As I like to call him, Papa Normal. Keith Strop, the founder of Normal, and here he is.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot. I'm a 64-year-old lawyer. I first smoked marijuana 43 years ago when I was a freshman at Georgetown Law School in Washington, D.C. I've been a regular smoker ever since, and I'm here to tell you there's absolutely nothing wrong with the responsible use of marijuana by adults, and it should be none of the government's business, period. It is time we stopped arresting and started respecting marijuana smokers in America. As Madeline said, my name is Keith Strop. Back in 1970, I founded Normal. I ran it as executive director for a couple of decades, and I currently serve as legal counsel. I hope you know, but if you don't, Normal is the marijuana smokers lobby in America. We represent the interests of marijuana smokers. We're not ashamed of it. We're proud of it. We support the elimination of all penalties for the possession and use of marijuana by adults. No $100 fines, no nothing. It should be perfectly legal. We also support the right of consumers to grow their own marijuana because, in fact, if the government gets to a point where they offer marijuana it's too weak or they want to charge us too much, the hell with them. We will grow our own. We do a good job of it now. We eventually favor the establishment of a legally regulated market where consumers can buy their marijuana in a safe and secure environment. Something like OCTA 2010 that's being proposed in Oregon. Yeah. Now, if you're a marijuana smoker, it is time for you to get up, stand up, light up, and let the world know how you feel. We cannot win our rights until we come out of the closet. I'll be honest with you, I think we all recognize that marijuana is a lot of fun. It improves the taste of food. It improves the enjoyment of music. And it improves the appreciation of sex. I think we all know that. But for many of us, millions of us, it does more than that. It helps us get in a different mindset where we feel a certain affinity and appreciation for our fellow man. Marijuana smoking in the right setting can be a very positive and enriching experience, and we need to learn the courage to say that out loud. Yeah. Now, we need to come out of the closet for a couple of other reasons. Just as the gay and lesbian communities learned they could not win their freedom until large numbers of courageous individuals were willing to come out of the closet and overcome those negative stereotypes, we suffer from the same problem. We have to come out of the closet so we're more visible, so we overcome negative stereotype of marijuana smokers. We also have to be more visible so our elected officials know we exist. There are surveys showing 47% of the entire adult population has smoked marijuana at some time in their lives. That's 1 out of 2. That survey was taken 5 years ago. What that means is today there are more living Americans who have smoked marijuana than who have not. It's a tipping point. So, come out of the closet, and number 2, take the pledge. I will never again vote for a candidate for office who wants to treat me like a criminal. Those 26 million Americans who smoked marijuana in the last year, within a couple of election cycles, we can legalize marijuana if we simply quit voting for people who want to treat us like criminals. Now, real quickly, the bad news. There were 830,000 Americans arrested last last year, 88% of those arrests were for simple possession. They were just marijuana smokers. There's another marijuana smoker arrested every 38 seconds in America. 47% of all drug arrests in this country are marijuana arrests. There are more marijuana arrests than there are for all the violent crimes combined. Folks, it is time we stopped arresting and started respecting responsible marijuana smokers. Now, real quick, some of the good news. Well, we have surveys showing that 80% of the public now support the medical use of marijuana, but more surprisingly, 76% of the public, 3 out of 4, say a fine only for a marijuana smoker, not just medical users, for all the rest of us. Now, that's not perfect. I don't think they should be able to fine us unless we're smoking in public. If we're smoking in private, it's none of their damn business. But think about it. 3 out of 4 Americans now agree with us that marijuana smoking should not be a crime. We have largely won the hearts and minds of the American people, and that's significant. Now, our challenge is, how do we get from that public support to public policy? And frankly, our elected officials have been incredibly timid, as you know. So, that's why you got to come out of the closet. That's why you got to vote. That's why you got to contact your elected official and let them know this issue is important to you. But together, we can turn this around. What we need to keep in mind is 30,000 people die every year from the abuse of alcohol. I don't mean wrecks on the highway, I just mean over drinking. 430,000 people die every year from tobacco smoking, yet both of those are legal. No one has ever died in the history of mankind from smoking marijuana, and we had an expert testify in a federal hearing a few years ago that in order to ingest a fatal dose of THC, you would have to eat 1,600 pounds of marijuana at one time. Now, I got some friends who've tried, but nobody has done it yet. So, come on, let's get real. Marijuana is a relatively harmless drug when used responsibly. So where does that leave us? Well, I think it leaves us, we're making progress. It's sure, it's steady, it's not as fast as we would have liked. I'm not sure I'll live long enough to see legal marijuana, but you folks will. I'm convinced of that. It also means we're going to look back on our own history and we're going to be embarrassed by the numbers of people's lives we destroyed for no good reason. So let's just make the bond today that says, together, we're going to turn this around. We're going to demonstrate to America that marijuana smokers are good citizens. We raise kids, we pay taxes, we contribute in a positive way to our communities. It's time to stop arresting marijuana smokers, support Oregon NORML, support OCTA 2010, and let's finally legalize marijuana in America. Thank you.
Give it up for Mr. Keith.
All right. Back in 2008, as it says there, more than 10, almost 11 years ago.
Pot and we like it a
and
lot.
he did live to see it.
Yes.
And I know is he still living in Denver?
No, he doesn't live in Denver. He never moved there.
Oh, really?
No,
okay.
he's still in Washington.
He's still in Washington.
Virginia, I believe.
Okay, okay. Well, it's legal in Washington, D.C. at least.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So he fortunately did live to see it. So
he lived to see it, and he's changed it so much. I mean, Papa Normal, what can I say? People started thinking about changing the laws when that came out.
We were talking about these Women of Cannabis Awards, and I know there's a new one that they're presenting at Cannabis in Barcelona right now.
Oh, yeah.
And you've been on
Puerto
several
Rico.
of these.
Yeah, I have.
Women of Weed.
Yeah, I became a woman of weed when I was 16, and now I've gotten all kinds of accolades for it. People have been really nice to me because they feel like I've accomplished a lot, and I'm really excited. I'm thrilled. I'm honored. You know, Mary Jane's Women of Weed with Wendy Borman. I've been able to be that, a pufferette. You know,
I like that.
I
like
love
that. I never heard that. I don't remember that one anymore.
Yeah, it's a coin from suffragettes.
Yeah,
right.
The women who fought for the right to vote 100 years ago.
And we're the women who fought for the right to smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I still.
And you're going to be on something coming up called Bustle, you said? I'm not familiar with that.
Online, online presence about women that make changes in the world. You know, I just saw Lady Gaga on there the other day when I was checking that out.
Oh, all right. Well,
yeah,
you're going to share the stage
well,
with her.
I don't anticipate, I mean, I was thrilled when I did Newsweek, and I was a centerfold with that big old bud underneath my nose. And I have a funny story about that, if I could. My aunt called my mom and said, Julie, are you sitting down? I just have to tell you that your daughter, and they call me Nana, it's my nickname, Nana was on the cover of USA Today with marijuana. And my aunt was so terrified that my mom was going to fall over, And my mom said, it's all right. I know about that. I know all about her secret.
Moms always know, right?
Yeah, Mom always knew, yeah.
We have another video from the world-famous Cannabis Cafe, your establishment, when it was on 82nd with Gatewood Galbraith. We're going to run a little bit of that, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Been practicing law for 30 years, been protecting the rights of the marijuana smoker since that time. I ran in 1983 for Commissioner of Agriculture of Marijuana on a legal marijuana ticket. Let me tell you, in 1983, that didn't go over too damn hot. I said, Galbraith, how do you expect to win? I said, well, there's more marijuana smokers than there are Republicans in the state. If I can just get them to the polls, we can do that. Since ran in 91 and 95 for governor, ran in 99 as the Reform Party candidate for governor, spent $20,000 and got 15.3% of the vote as a third party. In Kentucky, that was pretty phenomenal. Ran as an independent for Congress in 2002, got 27% of the vote as an independent on a $20,000 budget. So I'm running this time as an independent for governor of the state of Kentucky. And let me tell you, I was mighty impressed to hear these words from Madeline, because she's got it exactly right. Marijuana is just a symptom of the issue. The real issue is, are we still sovereign human beings? That's what the American Revolution was all about. Marijuana is an iconic issue because it shows just how far the government has gone in overstepping its bounds in policing private behavior and impinging on the whole idea of what America itself was all about. Before America, we were all property. We belonged to the king or the queen or the warlord or whoever had the most gunpowder in the valley. And they said, hey, come in here, off with your head, there you went. There was nothing there. You had no rights. You were property. You belonged to whoever had the most gunpowder. But when our founding fathers decided that they were going to set this country up and wrote the Declaration of Independence, they recognized in essence that we were all created by our Creator and endowed with inalienable human rights. Among them, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. For the first time, they gave each of us our sovereignty. For this was the first time any ruling party had ever conceded that the individual was a sovereign thing. And they wrote the Constitution to try to instill the legal system to protect it. And since that time, it has been in great peril by people who seek to subvert it and make slaves of us to their will. And believe you me, the man ain't racist. He doesn't care what color his slaves are. And the whole idea of having piss in a cup to hold a job in America is anathema to what America itself was built on. I've been at this. I was 24 years old and a milkman in 1971 when I decided I was grist for the mill. I was going to end up in prison or dead at an early age because I didn't understand the system. And as long as I was ignorant of the system, I was going to be a pawn in their game. So I decided I had to learn the system. And the best way to do that was to go to college and become an attorney. And if I was going to do that and put in all that work, I might as well become governor of Kentucky and change the marijuana laws and try to lift Kentucky back into prosperity. We were the world's largest producer of cannabis for over 100 years. We called it hemp. People say, what's the difference, Gatewood? And I said, well, hemp and marijuana are both cannabis in the same way that Danny DeVito and Dennis Rodman are both adult males. But Kentucky was the world's largest producer, so we ought to return to it and let our farmers back into the niche of producing energy to solve our energy problems instead of giving all this marijuana, giving all this money over to the oil-producing countries. You know, we calculated that if you could plant 7% of the U.S. agricultural land in hemp, you wouldn't have to import another drop of oil. But, you know, what's happened is a great synthetic subversion where those people who make synthetic products have used the criminal law to criminalize farmers from producing competitive natural products in both petrochemicals and pharmaceuticals. And a great deal of our problems today could be directly associated to the people I refer to as the petrochemical, pharmaceutical, military, industrial, transnational, corporate, fascist, elite son of a bitches who have never said the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America or to the republic for which it stands. They're not warm and fuzzy about us or our children or grandchildren, and they see the Constitution and the Bill of Rights as impediments to the implementation of a new world order and a global economy. And that's just where it's at. And they, you know, they want to flatten the world to make us all, you know, a global economy and to erase national boundaries. But, you know, they can't afford to give every other human being on earth the same constitutional privileges and rights that we enjoy in recognition as sovereign human beings. So they're going to have to take ours away from us in order to make us a flat earth. I ain't going down without a fight. Yeah. So in 1983, like I said, I started my political campaign. I started getting up every day in 1971, so I've been at it 40 years. And I've run for governor several times, so I have a pretty good idea about what politics is all about. I gave the keynote address at the Reform Party National Convention back in 2000, and you know, so I've been there. I've observed the politics, and after 40 years, I'd have to be pretty dumb not to have come up with at least one good idea in those 40 years. And I do tell the folks in this race right here, if I was ever going to lie to you, I would already have been elected, because you know. But descriptively speaking, Kentucky suffers from electile dysfunction. What's happened is that both parties have their horns locked up like two bull elk fighting over territory, while the business of the people lays dead in the dust. And neither party can produce a candidate can disengage from the partisanship long enough to work with the other side to get the job done. And my running mate, who's a beautiful lady with 6 kids, 2 of them adopted, one of her natural children has special needs, so she knows where the rubber meets the road in those women and children's issues. She and I are running totally as independents, no party affiliation whatsoever. We don't want one. We don't want all that baggage. We don't want all that corruption. We don't want it. We don't want it. You keep it. That's just a monster to be fed once you get to the trough. You know, we're going to start returning any of the surpluses of the state back over to the people. But the first thing I'm going to do when I'm governor of the state of Kentucky, the minute I'm sworn into oath, is I'm going to have the commander of the National Guard land a helicopter in front of the Capitol and bring me the keys to it. And that's the last time any one of those friggin' military helicopters is going to hover over the fields and gardens of the people of the state of Kentucky.
All right, that's Gatewood Galbraith at the world-famous Cannabis Cafe. That was back in the summer, maybe it was May of 2011.
Okay, because you're better at the dates than I am.
Yeah, well, I pulled the video, so I know. Okay. And I remember, well, Gatewood passed away there in January of 2012, just about 7 months after this from pneumonia. If only gone to the hospital, he'd
that
probably
was a tragedy. He was
us.
a wonderful man.
He was.
Absolutely.
He was. Definitely one of the mentors out there who have changed things.
Yes.
Spread the word about hemp, and we're all in his debt, and along with Jack Herer and so many others.
Keith Stroup is one of my heroes. He's not gone yet, and I'm hoping he's not gone for a long time. But he changed the way I looked at marijuana, because I was a little kid when I first started using it, and then I feel like I grew up and he made me respectable.
All right.
You know, just the fact that he was an attorney.
Well, we're proud that you're on their board of directors now for a full decade.
Yeah, and I'm the only Latina.
The biggest change in the past decade over their whole what is it, almost 50 years of history.
Yeah, we're going on 50 years.
Yeah. So we're down to just our last minute and a half. If somebody wants to get in touch with Oregon NORML or you, Madeline, what's the best way to do that?
The best way to do that is actually to reach us on Facebook. We have a Facebook presence, and we will respond to you. You can send us PMs at Facebook, and mine, Madeline Martinez. Just go there, and if you want to talk to me, we can certainly talk. But come out, support us, because nothing changes unless you get involved. So we're counting on you. Please.
So you'll be at the state capitol this Tuesday, March 19th, all day.
All day.
To talk to legislators. So if somebody wants to see you, go down to the lobby there next to the gift shop.
Yes, and call your representative and make an appointment.
Yeah, that's
Let's
the best
hash
way
this out
for
with
Tuesday.
them.
I want to thank you guys for watching. We're going to go out a song by the Herbivores from the hemp stock in years past. Thanks for being on, Madeline. Thank you folks for watching. Help us restore hemp.
Yes.
Good night.